my name, and I've seen him do some work where, it's very similar to me. So there's others out there. There's another guy, Anthony Mark, from Afterlife Paranormal, who kind of followed my lead, and he watched me, and then he took some of my advice, and he's doing the respect thing, and he's getting amazing results. And so I think there's something to that, because Justin was also very, very kind and nice to the spirits. So I think they react to that.
Yeah, Justin's all right, for a dude. He's all right. There was a reason why in doing the show that you actually helped, film a little bit. Of course, we got messed out of the rest of the locations, so there won't be a full episode this time. But hopefully we can work together again, and get a full episode of actual investigating Tombstone. But when we were investigating, and the reason why I chose Justin, or I was kind of led to Justin, actually, we met through Chip Coffey 2 years ago when Chip and I were filming the documentary Shadows on 66, and Justin, and Chip were friends, and he came up there because we were so close, and we hit it right off. And I've always liked his attitude and the way he respects the spirits. He really is respectful, and, there were other people that I was kind of watching and learning from before that were not as respectful and were doing the yelling and provoking, and I didn't quite dig on that too much because I wasn't getting the evidence that I could have gotten had I used Justin's approach to it.
Sure.
And so when I started the show Spirit Quest, or the idea came to me, and I said I want to learn from people that are not on TV, that have 20-plus years experience and nobody's ever heard of, but my God, and they're getting amazing evidence. And I want to learn from these people and show everybody else that it can be done. Just because people are on TV doesn't make them any better of an investigator.
No.
As the average, Joe that's out here that's been doing it quietly, as a passion for years. And that's what I wanted to bring. And when I wanted a co-guide, as we call him, I chose Justin because of everything that he does in research as far as, with ITC and communication. And then that's when he's like, have you seen Steve Huff? And I'm like, what? And he's like, check it out. And I was like, oh, my God. And so that's when I became a huge fan. And, the crazy experience that led you to your first spirit box. Now, that's another thing I really want to elaborate on is the Frank's box that you came in contact with. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, that was really odd. Well, when I told you the story how I bought a spirit box just to see if it was real or a scam or something. And that first spirit box I bought was the SB7, and you were just talking about it, it's noisy and weird. But anyway, so once I started researching, everybody was talking about the Frank's box, and how Frank Sumption basically invented the spirit box. And I guess that was the one to get. So, but they were very hard to get, as, people would tell me, well, Frank, he only gives them away or sells them to certain people, and it'd be really hard to get one. So just as a fluke, I decided, well, I'm going to check eBay. And there was nothing on eBay. And then I checked my local Craigslist, which I didn't think there'd be a chance in hell there'd be a Frank's box on Craigslist. So I searched, and lo and behold, there was a Frank's box 10 minutes from my house. So I emailed the guy, and I'm like, is this available? And he's like, yeah. So we met in, a store parking lot. I gave him $200 for it, and I had an official Frank's box, which I was like, what are the odds that the moment I get into this and the moment I read that the Frank's box is the box to get, what are the odds I'd be on my local Craigslist? I mean, I can't imagine many people would put a Frank's box on Craigslist, but, I bought it. I bought it, and, I kind of told myself, well, later on, a couple of years later, I'm like, well, maybe it was meant to be. Yeah, maybe it was just something that was meant to be. So I got the Frank's box, and, of course, it was a little noisy to me, but it was way better than the PSB-7, and I really loved it because, that there was a guy who sat there in his house and made it, and had some passion built into it. So I loved it. I liked it. And it just went from there. Then I started buying all kinds of little hack shacks, radios, and anything that would come out. I would try apps. And, but yeah, I thought that was amazing that I found the Frank's box on Craigslist. It was just kind of...
Yeah, and Frank, just a shout out to Frank. I mean, he's like the pioneer of
Oh, definitely.
You know, I think, you know, ghost boxes, spirit boxes, whatever. But you have, certainly you and your work with Anthony Sanchez and Ghost Hunter apps, oh my God, y'all have like made leaps and bounds in communication with the other side, and it's just like mind blowing. Because I mean, when I first got into this, it like, I mean, I've been, you know, interested all my life, but when I first, you know, we formed FEAR, we just started out, you know, pretty much basically learning the ropes as we go from other, you know, veterans and things like that, and it was just like almost like caveman kind of stuff 5 years ago. And now we're looking at, oh my God, I'm sitting here and we are actually getting conversations with the other side through the SCD-1 and the, you know, all the other apps that you guys have, and it's just crazy. Now, I haven't really played with the Vocubus a whole lot.
It's different. I know that's Anthony's app he created. I had nothing to do with it.
Right.
When I got it, I was like, I thought I was going to be disappointed because I didn't like the banks, the way that they sounded. It just sounded like a bunch of jibber jabber. And he's like, no, it's like 95% phonetic, and you know, the theory of spirits will take these phonetic sounds and form words and sentences. And you know, he didn't even have any idea that it was going to work as well as it does. But I think the Vocubus is more of an advanced app for people like you, me, people who have been doing this for a little while. I have seen some newbies buy it, and they just can't make any sense of what's coming out of it. And that's another thing that leads me to talk about is, I don't know if you found this, but I find it to be true that the more you do this work and listen back to your sessions, it kind of like your ear gets trained, you know, to listen and to hear these replies. And a lot of people just don't hear them right off the bat, but then when you point them out, they're like, oh, yeah, there it is. But the Vocubus is crazy because I'll turn it on and they'll just start discussing, like, things around me, you know, like in my room, or they'll talk about what I'm doing or what I had for dinner, or it's really bizarre, and it's almost like a conversation. But on the other hand, you have the SCD-1, which is based on – the SCD-1 is basically based on the ghost box, you know, but I would always say, well, the boxes are so noisy because of the FM, AM reception, the static, the clicks, the pops. So I was like, what if we used internet radio? And I was talking with Anthony, and he's like, I think I could do that. So, you know, he whipped up a early beta, and I tested it, and I was just, like, blown away by direct replies that I was getting, and then we kind of perfected it, and I'm like, all right, this is definitely an amazing thing, you know. And I said, I was worried because I'm like, well, is it going to work for everybody, you know? Because I know that a lot of this stuff, even a Frank's box, a ghost box, not everybody gets amazing results with it, but I think everybody can. It's a matter of, you know, how much you want to put into it and dedication you put into it and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, so the SCD-1 has more clarity than the Vocubus. The Vocubus is a little harder to understand, but I think the Vocubus has more potential for conversation. So it's kind of, I like both of them. Those are basically the two apps I use today. That's about all for apps.
Definitely. Yeah. I've got to work with Anthony's, but the SCD-1, I mean, I posted a few already of the videos, and
yeah, I've seen them.
Oh my God! I mean, the one at the case we were at, it was an emergency case last Monday, and it was hotter than hell in that place. And I really was just focusing on not melting at the point, and I couldn't even hear it. And when Jason, you know, sent me the video, and he goes, "Oh my God, this portal thing is insane." And I go, "Well, the portal really just cleans up the SCD-1, what it's bringing out, so that there's not a bunch of, you know, stuff." So I kind of wanted you to explain to people, because they're thinking that the portal is like an actual portal that they're going to talk out of, you know, and well, that's what happens, and I don't want them to get confused.
I think the spirits think it's a portal, because I've had they're always saying the word portal through it, or when I turn on my other boxes, they'll say portal. The other night I turned on a Hack Shack, messing with it, and it clearly said turn on portal. And it was like, come on, guys. You know, so I turn it on, and then they just, you know, I get replies through it. And the portal is like, that came about because when the SCD-1 was made, I was testing, this was like 10 months ago, the SCD-1 was launched. And during that month or two before it was launched, I was testing the beta with different reverb guitar effect pedals. And I was telling Anthony, when I activate this reverb, something changes and something happens. It totally boosts up the response and interaction. And I would ask all the time, is this helping you? Is the reverb helping you? And every time there would be a yes answer. So I told Anthony, add reverb as like an effect in the SCD1. But the reverb that's built into the SCD1 is nowhere near as deep or rich as something you would get from like a guitar pedal. So I started experimenting with those pedals more and more through a guitar amp using the SCD1. And when I added a noise reduction pedal, I started messing with that. And I was realizing that with the combo of reverb and that noise decimator reduction pedal that cuts out a lot of the chatter, that it was making it much more easier to hear the replies, get more direct replies. So I knew that there was something with it. So that's when I decided, well, I'm going to whip this up into a little portable package the best I can and see what happens. So I scoured around, for parts and did a bunch of tests. And then, lo and behold, eventually, months later, the portal as it is now was created. And, I didn't want to sell it because it's not like I invented anything. I just took off-the-shelf parts and snapped them together, basically. So that's why I decided, well, I'll just tell people how to make them, and if people want to spend the money to try it, and, they can try it, and hopefully it works for them as well as it does for me. So you have one. There's quite a few people that have one. What do you think it works well? Do you think it enhances the sessions?
Let me just say this, that I have got so many people jealous of my portal that they're like, oh, my God, can he make me one? I go, absolutely not. He only made a few, and I am lucky number 7, and, he does have videos. I'll tell everybody he's a very kind guy. He puts all the videos step by step on how to make it. Luckily for me, you and I have been, are friends, so that I'm not a technical wizard, and I would have had that thing so messed up and wasted so much money on those pieces that I really appreciate you putting that together for me. It's beautiful, and it has worked amazingly for me. I have gotten some of the most crazy, evidence out of that thing, and I don't use it every day because, for one, I've been so busy with stuff, with my son fixing to go to high school. But me and him both, he videos me, and I've been trying to show him how to meditate and how to have good intention in his heart and his head when we go to do these things. And he's very respectful. He's a junior investigator actually on my team.
That's cool.
And he's like, oh, can I go to this conference with you? Can I go to that conference with you? I'm like, baby, you're in school. But, he's really, it's picking up for him because he is also a sensitive, an empath like his mom. It does run through the family. My mom had it. My great-grandmother had it. I think my grandmother, she ignored it. But it has been through our whole family, and I think it does that. Ways through a lot of folks. But the respect is what I try and teach him the most about, and that you get a lot more good results or evidence from being respectful instead of, trying to scream and yell at them, and they're not deaf, and they're not stupid, and, you don't have to yell at them, period. You can just be calm, and I think you get a lot better results. So that leads me to your project that I'm very excited about with Hope Paranormal. Let's talk about that. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, about 3 years ago or so, I got a message from a guy. I had no idea who he was, Josh Lewis, and he said that he was a fan of mine, and because of what I did, he was motivated to create a team, and they called themselves Hope Paranormal. Helpers of Paranormal Entities is what it stands for. And back then, 3 years ago, he's like, would you be interested in making a documentary about what you do? And because he's a filmmaker, he's made a few films, actually pretty good ones too. So at the time I didn't know him, and I'm like, I just got done talking with such and such network who said they'll give me a show if I chase demons and fabricate evidence, and I was like, I'm not really into that.